Well, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, and I knew you'd tune back in because you knew we have Bunny back with us today, and she is. Bunny, I loved your stories of yesterday, but you have had other encounters with God, and one that I just get fascinated with because, and I've told them as a part of this series, my time in behind the Iron Curtain, communist countries, but it's not always political like that. Sometimes it's a combination of political as well as religious. And
Correct.
because your experience in that type of environment was not in communist countries, but in Indonesia, and we can say where it was, right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah, Indonesia.
What, so you went on one of the early peace trips to discover, well, the kind of research in a way, wasn't it? Meant to
Correct.
be?
Yeah, so it was in 2005, March of
Okay. And
2005.
Rick Warren we were just beginning the whole peace thing. And part of that was reaching out to unreached, well, we were looking for unreached people groups in a way, but I'm
Correct.
not sure exactly what Bunny's was. She'll probably tell us.
Right. Three of us, myself and Lorena and Judy, uh, were just researching where we wanted to go. Judy had been to Indonesia in Bali, and so that seemed like a place that we knew that was on the map. Not Bali or Jakarta, but a village or a place called Muraina is where we ended
Because
up
it was
in the country.
was it tribal?
It was not.
But it was heavily, or maybe 100% Muslim,
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
which they're
Oh,
not always, especially in those areas, very excited about welcoming Christians to come tell them about Jesus.
no, no.
But
And
you and the other two went.
we did. We did.
And so what happened?
So when we went in 2005, if you recall, it was the time of the tsunami had happened just prior to our
Yeah.
going to Indonesia. And so once we arrived in Indonesia, we did not have anybody to connect with because those that we were supposed to meet up with and help us through the process had left for where the tsunami had hit. So northern uh, Indonesia. And there was no one for us to connect with. And the women that greeted us, who we thought were travel agents, ended up being educators to missionaries. So when missionaries would come in country, they would educate them on how to behave and act, basically to stay alive.
But I'm guessing that you guys, when you see that situation, you really start praying
Yeah, we prayed a lot on our knees.
because you needed
Yeah,
those contacts, right?
yeah, we needed the contacts because we didn't know where to go. We did have an interpreter and we did have a driver once we got into Mira. Um, so as we learned what we could and couldn't do, we got on a plane in Jakarta and flew into Palembang. And we actually had a real tour guide, somebody that, thought we were there on holiday and, showed us all the sights. And during that time, our interpreter came to us and said, "What are you really here for?" And so we were a little nervous. We didn't know what to do. We allowed him to come into our room, and I brought out the Purpose Driven book and a quilt that the quilters had made for us that had a little heart shaped scripture on it, just kind of loosely sewn in. So, just in case we needed to give it as a gift, but we didn't want the scripture attached, we could pull it out. And he was so excited when he heard what we were there for. He said he was Catholic, and that excited him because he knew we were on a mission and he was going to definitely protect us. Also, in that, when we got into Miraina, where we were going to stay for the next 3 weeks, our driver turns out was Methodist and was married to a Muslim woman. And he was so excited, so much so he took us to his church and introduced us to all of his friends.
So these three ladies, you're going for 3 weeks
Yes.
with the goal of finding and reporting back to peace team that where we should go, who we should see.
Who our
That,
contact was. And we did make a contact on our own. Um, and he happened to be a gentleman, a businessman who was very faithful to the Lord. Of course, many of them knew purpose driven. They knew Rick Warren. We were very fortunate that I can't really remember how we ran into him, but he was supporting the theology school there. So we picked up two theology students, didn't speak English, we didn't speak Mandarin, but we communicated quite well in between the interpreter and then our own. And what we did realized it was they were lost. The people that we were reaching out to, they were lost. So I wish I would have had it with me. We had the Jesus cube. Are you
yeah,
familiar with the Jesus cube?
yeah,
And I had a big Jesus cube, and then I had small Jesus
which
cubes.
is a way to explain the gospel to people while they can see the way that this cube unwinds. But it's
Correct.
basically a way to share the gospel. So you're sharing the gospel with them.
Correct. So these boys were getting ready to leave school and go into a career, but their goals were to go into communities as whatever their careers might look like, computers or
Yeah.
sales, whatever that. And they could put this cube on
Oh.
their belt buckle and have it handy and still be hidden so people couldn't see it. The three of us would go into the businessman's house and we would sit with him and the family and the theology students and we would show them how to use the big cube. And so we left all of those tools with them so
Yeah.
they had them. So that was our purpose, was to find out, yes, like you said, to go in and research and see what was going on. And so as a result, their team there of the theology students and the businessman has grown, and they've been able to go into places. And some they did tell us a story of where it took 12 years, 12 years of planting seeds to actually see someone come to know the Lord.
So
So
you have kept in contact?
we do, by through Facebook.
Man,
It's not as much as we were in the beginning, but
that is fantastic though, I'm telling you.
God's hand was all over this from the moment we landed, not knowing what we were getting into. We were actually in a small village at one point, and as we were leaving the village, our interpreter got a call from a person he was asking about. Should we go into these places? And the caller said, "Don't take them to that village because they'll kill them."
See, friends, this is why I mean this is in one sense a little harder to see God's hand on all this than when Bunny told about her getting healed or her husband's getting yesterday. But when you put yourself in a stressful situation like that, a heavily Muslim area with talk about, gee, if we go there, they're going to kill us. And then you see God use the faithfulness of going there to allow his word to go for it. It's a complete answer to prayer.
It was.
And honestly, of course, I admire that you had, and Lorena, I don't know Judy, but that you had the faith to go. And God rewarded that by giving you those contacts at just the right thing.
Right.
His hand is all over that.
All over it, all over it. And it was day after day of those kinds of things
Yeah.
that we saw.
I'm sorry, our
Okay,
time is up.
because there's so many
So
stories.
you come to church, you everyone, and go back to the book table where Buddy ministers almost every Sunday, and you ask her about this. Okay, gotta go.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.